Good morning. I'm calling to order the Audit Committee meeting for Tuesday, December the 9th. Let's start with an invocation. Commissioner Caraway, will you lead us? Please? Thank you.
Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, as we gather here this morning, we give thanks for the many blessings you have given us. Most important, the gift of your Son, the light of the world whose birth we celebrate this time of year. We ask that you guide us as we meet today, giving us wisdom and sound judgment as we seek to do what is best for our community. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Join me for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a quorum here with 3 members of the committee present. I need approval of the minutes of the previous meeting that have been previously provided to you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Those are approved. And is there any changes to the agenda?
Ready for your approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We'll proceed as listed. Let's start with the 24-25 audit results summary. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for time on your agenda today to cover the financial statement audit results for the year ended June 30, 2025. I am Bonnie Cox, and I do serve as your relationship partner from Cherry Beckert. This is a bullet point of our agenda. You guys can see the screen, right? Just double checking. Excuse me. These are the required communications. I remind you that we conduct the audit, and then we have the required communications to this audit committee. So this is just a visual to remind you of our audit team. Again, you can see there my role in being the relationship partner. Lauren Strope, yet again, has served as the engagement partner there, and Brian Liffick, who is our second quality reviewer, served as that quality review. I will just point out that these 2 individuals serve government public sector engagements 12 months out of the year. They're very specialized in this arena. We did have a new senior manager on the engagement, Byron, I should say. And so he was new to the team this year, as I remind you that we do switch it up every year to keep fresh perspectives to the team in different roles, but I did bring him while Yumi Treadway was here on site, remaining again and repeating on the team there this year as the senior. So bottom line up front, we're prepared with the approval today to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements of that year ended June 30, 2025. And so also it's in accordance with government auditing standards as required by the nature of the entity here. Lots of words on this screen. These are the same words. Nothing has changed in the professional standards from what you have seen in prior years. This just reminds you that we consider internal controls during the course of our financial statement audit, but we do not opine on those internal controls. But as deficiencies come to our attention, then we're required to report those deficiencies to this body of governance as a part of the audit results. There are 2 different reportable deficiencies that are required to be reported. One is called a material weakness, and then one which is a less severe in nature of the materiality of deficiencies in internal controls, called a significant deficiency. And so what I'm here to report today is we have neither of these no material weaknesses to report for deficiencies in internal controls. Also this year, many of you probably have tried to shut it out of your brains. I know that many of us on many levels have tried to shut out the hurricane, but you did receive a significant amount of federal FEMA monies to reimburse you for the expenditures that were spent on the hurricane cleanup. And so because that is federal funds, it did pop as a what's called a major program. So we did do the compliance testing on this. There are about 14 compliance requirements that go along with spending federal funds. And so we did do testing over that compliance and the expenditures there, and we had no findings in the compliance testing there on the FEMA funds from the hurricane disaster recovery. This is also an important statement, and if I'm in your shoes as an audit committee member, this is one of the most important things that I like to look for in audit results. And this has to do with when the auditors came in and did our testing, did we have any adjustments? Did we have to propose any either past adjustments or corrective misstatements that had to be posted to the statements for that? And we had none of those. And so what that tells me as a committee member is that what it tells you is that the financial statements that were turned over to us from your management, we did all of our testing and we had no adjustments to those numbers that were given to us as part of the audit.
Great.
All right, these next few slides, some might think might be a little bit boring, but these are the required communications that I'll just bring to your attention. We did have one compensated absence change to the accounting principles. It's disclosed in note 2. If it had a material effect on the statements, I would bring to your attention that it did not have a material effect, but it just brings you up to the most recent GASB 101 compliance there for compensated absences there. Also, related party relationships and transactions. This is required communications to just bring to your attention that we are aware of these. We did not have any issues identifying or disclosing or finding anything outside of the normal course of business with the county there in regards to related party transactions and disclosures. Significant and unusual transactions, the professional standards have a very specific definition for what rises to the attention. Hurricanes do not qualify as a significant and unusual transaction in the course of government financial statements. A lot more nuanced than that. But anyway, there were none of those to report to you for the year June 30, 2025. All right, estimates. I bring this to your attention as a part of the required statements. Again, I'll remind you that estimates have to be audited in a different way. We can't pull a deposit and vouch a cash receipt. We can't look at a check disbursement and an invoice and that sort of thing when it comes to estimates. They require judgment. They require different factors that kind of management has to consider in regards to what those amounts should be reflected of in the financial statements. So professional standards require me just to bring to your attention what those are included in your statements. You can see them listed here. So for example, the estimate of allowance for doubtful accounts, the estimate of the uncollectible receivables bill, that's an estimate based on history. Depreciation expense, how long are your fixed assets going to last you? How long are the trucks, the vehicles, the equipment, the buildings? Like how many years are you going to depreciate that over? That's an estimate. Fair value of investments. So while you rely on, investment statements to tell you, and we can tie out the investment values to those statements from your brokers, those still are estimates. They're all estimated values, and we test them out to third-party values to kind of corroborate the investment amounts that are recorded there. OPEB, acronyms, we love acronyms. This is other post-employment benefits. This is actuarial calculations based on benefits that are provided after people retire. So you have to accrue that today while the people are working for the county so that then the liability is there for after they retire and get paid out. All of those are estimates. Also, similarly, the pension values there are also based on actuarial assumptions there. I mentioned the compensated absences. Those are your paid leave for your current employees. So sick time, PTO, the leave time there, that's what that's regarding. Also an estimate. The solid waste landfill obligations, because of the closed landfill that is out there, it still requires post-closure care costs. Again, based in engineering estimates, but still estimates there. The self-insurance amounts that are out there, so the claims payable that are out there for the way that you have structured your insurance structure there. Also, you have to record claims when they're incurred, not when they're paid. And so you kind of do an estimate to go ahead and book those as they're incurred. And then finally, the imputed interest rates on your IT, on leases and IT subscriptions. Those are those accounting policies that had to be implemented a couple of years ago. Well, over a couple of years there. So anyway, your management has to choose an interest rate to impute that to record the asset and the liabilities there. So lots of complexities there, but we were able to get the underlying assumptions to be able to audit those there. I'm sorry, thought I was over a sinus infection, but apparently not quite. All right, we also bring to your attention, we believe that your financial statements are clear and neutral. Required communication. All right, thank you, Scott. Thank you. All right, our firm also does provide some what's called non-attached services. So as you know, maintaining our independence is the cornerstone of the auditing profession when you're doing the external audit, which is our role. We do, however, perform some non-audit services, and we safeguard that, meaning we don't make any management decisions, we don't take responsibility. We provide the expertise and then your management oversees those services and then takes responsibility for those. So list up those there. On the left, you'll see the data collection form. That's something that, because of those federal funds that come in, the disaster recovery, along with any other grants that come in, that's an annual required form. We help in preparing that. The financial statements, some of those component units that are kind of outside of the direct management of the finance department, we help prepare some of that year-end financial information for those. And then some other here, you can see that FEMA funding process. There was some expertise there that we provided for your management to oversee. And in all of those, we've safeguarded that independence and would bring to your attention if we not there. Sorry. So just a reconfirmation that while we've done these other non-attest services, we've maintained our independence there. All right, and then this is the slide of no's, where if we had any difficulties in getting through the audit or disagreements with your management during any of the course of the audit procedures or the financial statements, we would bring that to your attention. We did not have any of those to report to you. We did not have to consult outside of the engagement team, so no significant or unusual items that we had to consult outside of our audit team. And then your management will sign for us the representation letter to take responsibility that they were truthful in our inquiries and did not withhold information that would have been relevant to either the audit or the financial statements. Thank you. All right, so any of you have seen the printed annual report knows that it's a pretty thick beast, probably in excess of 200 something pages right now. In there are the financial statements that we opine on. There's also what's called required supplementary information, which includes your management discussion and analysis and some other schedules in the back. There's supplementary information, which is kind of a second tier of opining that we do. And then there's other information, all the tables and statistical data that your management includes in that annual report. So what these words on the slide here just describe for you are the level of responsibility and auditing that we did to each of those in relation to the audit of the financial statements themselves. All right, a couple of upcoming standards in the GASB, which is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board that writes the rules that you have to follow for the financial statements. And I know that we always get excited about these every year because of the changes that come down the pike. But these are just a couple that are coming up in the next year that your management will have to be considering there. The model improvements, which will be sure to point out any changes that kind of come to light there, and then just additional disclosures on certain assets. I will remind you that while we work with your management to get the audit done, and again, we are here as planned on time from the kickoff of the engagement, ready to issue. We work with management to get it done. We report to you. And so I just remind you that you have my contact information here. You have Lauren Strope, who is the one signing the report, the audit there, available to you. Appreciate the time on the agenda, but also you have our information if you ever would like to reach out to us.
Well, Ms. Bonnie, I think I've been chairing this committee for, I think this is the 7th year in a row, and this is probably the most stellar committee that you've had so far, because all three of us have accounting degrees, so we're like, ooh. So I don't know that Mike was as excited as Allison and I, but
talking about this
but we totally get like, ooh, GASB, the little
exciting.
So, but it's not lost on us that as we're going through this, no difficulties, no disagreements, no fraud, no violations. That's a big deal for as big as this operation is, to not find anything. You know, because lots of times you need to find something just to prove that you did your job. But Leanne, my goodness, this is fantastic. You did a great job. Thank you so much for
For
your
my
hard
staff
work.
as well.
Yeah.
All of you,
Hard work.
thank you so much.
And you can ask Leanne and her staff. It's not for not looking. Like, we ask a ton of questions, and we
They are
give
still
them a
asking
good
questions.
Yeah.
we give them a good scrub.
Maybe you just give them a
good
little
audit.
something to find so they can act like they did. But do y'all have any questions for Ms. Cox?
You make us Make the county look great.
Yes.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, Allison? Thank you so much.
You are welcome, and I'm going to apologize. I have a previous commitment. I'm
No.
going to slip out, but
I
anyway,
understand.
thank you again
Thank
for
you
the
so
time.
much.
Thank you, Bonnie.
All right, we will accept those comments as presented as information, and with a huge thank you to staff for all their hard work. Let's move into, what do we have next? We have Rhoda Max Evans. We get more accounting reports.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do have two reports to present to you today. We'll start with the Facility Services Division. As I always often remind you, we come through each department on a three-year rotation. And so it was time to actually go to the maintenance department again. But there's been some reorganization. We have a new Facility Services Division now, which includes maintenance, landscaping, janitorial, and special projects. And so it's a good opportunity for us to take a look at the whole new division and all of those departments within it, put that together in one report for you. So performed all of our routine duties, purchase cards, purchase requisitions, timesheets, and looked at inventory. We had no findings in any of those areas. We also took an analytical approach to work orders. Work orders are how we track the activities of the maintenance department. And we took a look at the average length to close, which came out to about 7.6 days. That statistical data is on page 6. We did recommend perhaps a monthly review of open work orders because we think that the average length could be shortened. We know some that were probably should have been closed, but we made a recommendation on that, and management responded, and all of that is in the report. Overall, a great internal audit, no significant findings of any type. And again, some interesting stats there. Average length to close a work order, 7.6 days. So, any questions on facility services?
How do you, when you're looking at the length of days these are open, it's kind of a judgment call on saying, you know, some were open too long or too
Oh, yeah.
short. Being in construction myself, I know sometimes you just
Yeah.
can't get it done in a certain amount of time.
Sure.
What is your litmus test for saying something was too long or
So
not?
we looked at, I believe it was 967 work orders during the period of time that we looked at. I thought 7.6 days actually seemed pretty reasonable. We just noted some that had been open for a number of months, or maybe could have been closed or should have been closed and hadn't been closed. And in discussions with management, as we asked questions about it, we came to the conclusion that perhaps a periodic review of open work orders would be helpful, because as we made inquiries of, oh, why is this still open? The answers were things like should have been closed, or of course there were instances where there's just a longer project, of course, and those are reasonable explanations.
Well, it stands to reason if some maybe should have been closed and were held open, that makes the average longer than.
So the average might really go down if some extra open projects were closed sooner. But the recommendation is not to imply that that the projects are not being handled in a diligent manner. It's just an analytical measure, kind of only so many things you can measure in a department like this. So we like to take a look at it. We do similar things for 311 and things like that to see how quickly things get closed out once they get started. Any other questions about the Services
Okay.
Division?
No? Let's move on to the next one, please.
All right, so the second report I have for you is a follow-up. So last time we met, I reported to you on the results of our internal audit of the Clerk of Court's office. At that time, I had two findings, well, one finding related to a bank reconciliation, and then some questions from the committee that I needed to follow up on to get answered. So we'll start with the bank reconciliation. So I have some notes here. So during that previous report, we disclosed that one of the clerk of court's bank reconciliations had about $800,000 of what we call deposits in transit that were erroneous. So we made the recommendation at the time that that bank reconciliation be cleaned up, and that going forward in the future, that the bank reconciliations are prepared correctly and reviewed for errors and errors get resolved. So in the interim, the clerk of court's office, working with their software vendor, they did remove those erroneous transactions. What I did afterwards is I went back through, I got all of those bank statements and bank reconciliations over the course of a long period of time, going back to December of 21, actually, is where I started. And I found all of the duplicate transactions in order to confirm that indeed the transactions that were voided and removed were duplicates and erroneous. So I spent a lot of time tracing all those transactions, matching them up. And so I believe it is correct that they have removed these transactions, and the bank reconciliation and bank balance is now more correct. In the report, you'll see that 3 years ago, in 2022, the last time we reported on the clerk of court's office, in this same bank account, there was $50,000 in erroneous deposits in transit. We made the recommendation at that time that they be corrected and removed. They remained on the reconciliation, and then over the course of the next few years, that amount increased to about $800,000. Most of it, this is also included in the report, about 81% of this number all happened in one month. There was apparently an implementation of a new software, was the explanation that was given us, and 90 transactions were duplicated on the January 2022 bank reconciliation, when that took us up to almost $800,000, and that error was carried forward over the years until we came back around 3 years later, and that was what I reported on last time. So I've looked at this from every possible angle, and the correct thing to do was to remove those duplicate transactions, and they have done that now.
I know that was a tedious task to go back and match all that up, so we certainly appreciate you doing that. It needed to be done, and shame on us for letting it go quite that long before we addressed it. So am I reading correctly in your report that of the 800,000, there's still about 80 hanging out there?
Okay, so I rarely do 100% of anything, but I traced 90% of these transactions. When I got to that 90% threshold, I stopped. The pattern was well established. The issue of duplicate transactions caused the misstatement of cash, but the internal control operational issue is not reviewing and correcting errors timely. But now it's been corrected, and so going forward, I would recommend that the clerk of court review these reconciliations, and when odd things appear, correct them more timely.
But there is 80,000 still appears to be duplicates from a more recent?
They actually are a little bit more recent, that's correct. So the 90% that I identified specifically in the bank statement, those were more in those older years. And so I believe the couple that I didn't fully trace to the bank statement were in 2023. But it's a relative handful of transactions from the whole grouping.
Is someone from that office working on rectifying that?
Well, I believe the problem is solved as of this moment in time. So the population of which I'm saying I've personally traced 90%, the population that I'm referring to is the population of voided transactions. So once they worked with their software vendor, identified the transactions, and went through the process of voiding them, I obtained that list of transactions, and that became my population to test out. And I traced 90% of those all the way to the bank statement, which is to say that I matched the voided item to an item on the bank reconciliation that had cleared. So the previously outstanding matched to cleared, then from the bank reconciliation to the bank statement, to see that it actually cleared, which I did for 90% of that population.
But again, the other 10%, that 80,000, do we believe that somebody on staff is working to clear those up, or is it just like, okay, we got rid of him, it's sitting here, we'll
I can get additional bank statements and trace the last 10% if you would like.
What's your confidence in? Trace them.
I'm highly confident that it would be the same set of circumstances.
We'll put this one back on the rotation for pretty soon and get all of that cleared up. All right, and there was one more item that you were reviewing in that department?
Yes, so there have been some questions back in September about how the new passport process happens at the clerk of court's office. And I was not able to fully answer those questions. In real time, in September, I realized that I needed to go back and ask some deeper questions. So we did that. We went back and re-interviewed the clerk of court and made sure that we had a full understanding of how this is processed. Did some additional research on legal environment around this. And of course, the passport, of course, is not a passport to Columbia County, it's a passport to the nation. So the Department of State is actually who issues a passport, but they allow certain people specifically identified in federal law to actually be the facilitator of that. It could be the postmaster, short list, it could be the postmaster, or it could be the clerk of court. And so clerk of court has started processing these applications. Now there's a fee or cost which goes to the State Department, and then there's a fee that the clerk of court charges to that applicant, which goes to the clerk of court. So at present, if a person applies for a passport, they have to bring two forms of payment, which have to be check or money order. One which goes in an envelope and goes to the Department of State, and one which goes to the clerk of court. And one of the reasons for my confusion about this is because there's no general ledger where that clerk of court's fee is entered. It just goes straight to the clerk of court into a separate bank account. And that makes it difficult to track because there's no general ledger report that can be run, income statement that can be run for these transactions. It's outside of the county's accounting. Now, what I tried to be clear in my report, I can't make a legal determination. I'm not an attorney or a judge, so I don't have a legal opinion, can't make a legal finding. But I'm not aware of any non-compliance in the way that this issuance of passports is being processed. It seems to be fully in accordance with the federal law and then also the state code as well, from my reading of it. However, as I became more familiar with it, I did notice that the state code does require that the clerk report periodically to the Board of Commissioners how many passports are being processed and how much money is being generated from that. And so I made the recommendation to the clerk of court that reporting process be initiated. I said monthly. I believe I put monthly, or maybe quarterly. I can't remember. I went back and forth on that. Quarterly, perhaps, would be frequently enough, in my opinion, but that would really be a determination for you to come up with. And I recommended the consideration be given to running these transactions through the county. Now, I don't know all the details of making that happen, but what I do know is that the county, through many of its citizen-facing departments, has the ability to receive payments, record those payments in a general ledger, process remittances. There's the payroll department that could send that clerk of court's commission to the clerk of court. I don't know, again, all the details that would be involved, but it would certainly make it easier to track and report the number of passports and the amount of earnings on those passports if there were a way to run the transactions through the county. So,
How are those earnings reported? Is it a W-2 or a 1099, or how do?
so that would be between the clerk of court and her tax preparer. It is a taxable compensation to her, which is one of the reasons why I mentioned the payroll department, because withholdings could be taken from that, which would be a benefit to the clerk of court, so she wouldn't have a tax liability at the end of the year, because it would be taxable compensation.
So when you kind of tested and looked at some of these, you were looking at February through July. For 6 months, there was about $17,000, almost $18,000 worth of fees on her side.
Yes.
So it's fair to say 35 a year, you know, at the average. Is there any movement after your conversation with them for them to get on a schedule to report to us? Did they?
No, the clerk of court has received the report, including that recommendation. I would suggest that the Board of Commissioners, in discussion with the clerk of court, could determine whether that's going to be a quarterly, semi-annual, or annual report. I don't believe that the frequency of the report is stipulated in the Georgia Code, just that it's necessary to report back to the Board of Commissioners.
Good. No further questions. Thank you so much for your.
You're very
Well,
welcome.
Let's talk about what we're doing going forward. I see on your list, you've got recycling, libraries, and Parks and Rec. The library thing, as controversial as it is brand new, so there's really not a lot to audit first
Yeah.
quarter for that. Can we
Okay.
put that off maybe the second quarter, so there's something to look?
Sure. These are the items that have come up on the rotation, which I just like to throw on that list there and kind of keep you up to date on what's happening. The libraries, I could certainly push out a quarter, because there's a lot in the Parks and Rec kind of area. So I want to take a look at the most up-to-date organizational chart there, and there are several departments within that umbrella that are due for a look.
Let's do recycling, Parks and Rec, and I'm gonna put you back on the clerk of court to find that other $80,000 for us.
Okay.
Back, is it quarter planning
Sure.
for that? Let's do that. Is that okay with you? Those three.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any commissioner or public comment regarding the audit? Very good. Seeing none, we are going to adjourn and reconvene in 3 minutes for the Management and Internal Services Committee. Thank you.
Peanut Gallery.
Good morning. I am calling to order the Management and Internal Services Committee meeting for Tuesday, December the 9th. We have already prayed and pledged, and we have a quorum with 2 members of the committee present. We need approval of the minutes of the previous meeting from October. Very much. And is there any changes to the agenda?
Ready for your approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I approve of this agenda. We're moving forward. I have no presentations or consent agenda items. Moving directly into debate, Deputy County Manager, Colonel Glenn Kennedy, what do you have for me today?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
The first item is an amendment to the policy 302.1, which is a grievance process or procedure. During the last couple grievance procedures or hearings, staff saw the need to clarify the grievance process. We consulted with Mr. Driver, and the following he made the following recommended changes. A couple ways to say that. First of all, the right to the Civil Service Board hearing is only extended to full-time employees. Part-time employees can address their grievances for termination with the Resources Director. We changed some verbiage to clarify the procedure timeline to make it more understandable. And lastly, if prior to a hearing, an employee decides to have legal representation, they're required to provide the contact information to that attorney, to the HR director and the county attorney, and no less than 5 days prior to the hearing. If you have any further questions or need anything I said clarified, Dr. Carney can do it.
If someone has a grievance and they bring it to the Civil Service Board, does that board only meet once a month, once a quarter, or they meet as needed to?
Civil Service Board will meet for a grievance hearing when they're required to hear it, when there's one pending.
So they don't have to, you don't have to wait a whole quarter?
So they don't have
Okay.
a grievance hearing every quarter or anything like that. It's as needed.
How often do you see that happening?
One every couple
One or
years.
two a year, maybe?
Maybe. It
Maybe.
just depends. I mean, we might have 1 or 2 a year, then we may go 2 years without one.
So this is not 2 or 3 a month?
No.
Kind of volume, okay. All right. We have a motion to move this. Does it need to go to debate? Can it go to,
I'm sorry?
can this need to go to debate?
It can go to consent.
Consent? So moved, thank you. Do you have anything else for us?
I do not, no ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Blanchard, how are you today?
Good, ma'am. How are you?
Excellent. How much money are we gonna spend?
I see what kind of day it's going to be already here.
Exactly right.
All right. Well, the first item I have for your consideration, it's $220,754 to answer your question directly. That's for clarity, permitting, and licensing. Annual maintenance. This is software that the commission approved about 2 years ago for us to implement for our permitting and licensing processes. That involves many different departments. So the dollar amount that I just mentioned is broken up among several enterprise funds as well as the general fund. I don't want to jinx it, but this software is about a month to 6 weeks away from going live. This is our renewal of the licensing so that we can continue this out through the next year. Staff recommends approval.
To snap my, what would Doug do?
Yeah.
bracelet. Or he would have questions, but we'll move that one to consent. And what is the next item?
Next item is a dedicated internet access agreement with Cogent Communications. This is actually just a renewal. We have a 3-year agreement with them that is expiring, and they're only offering 1-year renewals now. So we have a 1-year renewal with Cogent. It is at $100 less than before, so Mr. Sparrow negotiated a $1 a month decrease for 10 gigabit per second of bandwidth from them. So the overall cost is $10,200 per year, and they'll be paid from broadband operating budget. Staff recommends approval.
So moved.
Next item I have is a migration of CityWorks software to Trimble Software as a Service platform. In the discussion previously in the audit committee, you heard about the facility services work orders. Those are managed through the CityWorks platform. What we're proposing to do here, and you've heard me mention software as a service before and migration from an on-premise system to a hosted system. That's what we have here. We're moving this from our servers located in our data center to a hosted platform. 1 year cost of this is $152,359.90. That will move everything to their platform. It will increase, obviously, in future years. The benefits to the county financially, I was prepared for Doug's questions on this, but the cost is difficult to pin down. However, we will see major improvements in efficiency and our ability to field applications, because we will not be stuck on our hardware. We'll be using their hardware. They will support, push security updates. They'll handle disaster recovery. A lot of things that we handle internally now will go to that platform. Staff recommends approval.
So our information will be not on our servers, but in the cloud at a,
At a data center.
Yes, ma'am. In a data center, yes, correct.
that was coming out of my mouth. I was like, do I want to say that? It'd be at a data center somewhere
Correct.
hosted, somewhere else.
Moving from the one software to the other, is that labor intensive for your staff, or is it by software?
Well, it's a partnership, because we have a lot of data, a lot of imagery that we'll be needing to move to that new platform. Since CityWorks has the ability not just to do work orders, but you can attach videos. Water utility does that a lot. Videos, photography, all that is going to be migrated by this team. Benefit of this is that once we move to their platform, they will handle all of that in the future. We won't have to store all that locally. So again, that's one of those areas it's a little bit murky, but we won't have to store that here anymore or back it up. And so we potentially would have savings down the road, but it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly how many dollars.
And the work of doing that migration is part of the 152,000?
Yes, ma'am.
So if all the work is being done this year, how does the cost jump so much in year 2?
Because they're giving us a discount, and I know that sounds backwards, and since you have an accounting degree, I'll get into the weeds with you on that one. The cost is over $300,000 a year for service, and essentially what they've done is given us a significant discount to accommodate our budget that we here. And then over the next 2 years, it will increase in order to bring us up to what they're calling that discounted amount. And so in year 3, we'll go back on a cycle of a small increase that's going to be tied to CPI.
Have this in your GIS budget?
GIS has this in their budget for this year, and they will request the future amounts in their future operating budgets.
So moved. Next.
Next item I have for you is a tower lease agreement with American Tower for Blanchard Park. You're probably familiar with this tower if you've been to Blanchard Park. That tower's been there since 1998. Back then, the county commission approved a tower site land license agreement. This essentially means that company leasing the land from us, but they built the tower, so that tower is their responsibility to maintain. And then they pay us each month a certain amount in order to lease it. As part of our original agreement, it continues in this agreement, we also get a certain percentage, 25%, of their total revenues for leasing. So if they have if they put in a Verizon antenna there, then we get 25% of that as well. So what they have proposed is to extend the lease. Right now, it is currently under a lease that they can renew up until July 23rd of 2048. They want to add the option to an additional 4 terms of 5 years each. In theory, would take it out to 2068. Now, that is a long time. The difference there is over $3 million. But the remainder of the agreement, as is right now, it's $3 million. However, their reason for wanting to do this, there's 2 reasons. They are responsible for the tower and all the maintenance. They needed to replace it. That's on their dime. Then they also need to do infrastructure improvements. And if they're going to invest a lot of money in, you know how much IT stuff costs, if they're going to make a lot of infrastructure improvements on that site and on that facility, they want to make sure that it's worth their while. And they also want to make sure that it's viable if they tell Verizon or another company that, yes, we have this site locked down for X number of years, so it will only enhance our ability to come from that facility. So the overall value As of right now, and it's a conservative estimate because I did not factor in potential increases for that 25% because I don't know what they're going to be. But if we continue what we're getting per year for the 25% plus the annual increases we're going to get in the lease cost, then the overall cost is potentially over $6.3 million.
Or
Revenue.
Revenue, I'm sorry,
Revenue.
revenue.
2048, that's a long time from now. I don't plan to be sitting here.
If I'm wrong, in 2068, you can track me down at the home and tell me.
And while we're in that mode of thinking about audits and checking behind things, for us to get 25% of the revenue from their leases to their subleases, how do we know? Do we audit their leases? Do we get a copy of their leases to their folks
Like Verizon.
to make sure we're getting the right amount?
We don't get that information, no ma'am. But we
Trust
do,
that
they send us with the revenue, we get a breakdown of what they say essentially that we get.
So moved, thank you.
All right, the final item I've got for your consideration is some network equipment from World Tech IT. This is for a piece of equipment, it's called an F5, or it's manufactured by a company named F5, that provides some functions for us for internet load balancing. So when people connect to us through the internet, this makes sure that we don't have one or more servers that is too overburdened. And there's also some other internet and network security functions that take place through this equipment as well. So it is a piece of critical infrastructure. I should say they are pieces of critical infrastructure because we have several of them. What we're proposing to do is to replace this old equipment with a hosted solution, another software as a service. We've got a 5-year agreement here that we're proposing with World Tech IT. It'll be a little over $24,000 per year going forward. And because of what this equipment costs and what the requirement is to support it each year, which is $30,000, over the 5-year agreement, we actually save the county $134,000. So I'm saving money today.
See what you're trying to do.
All right, so staff has reviewed this. We think it is critical infrastructure and it's something that we need to do. Recommends approval.
And your budget and the IT
It's in the IT budget, yes, ma'am.
so moved, thank you. Proud of myself for that $6 million
Revenue.
revenue.
Right.
That was good. Slid it right there in the middle. Thank you, Mr. Blanchard. I appreciate your help today. Now moving on to facility services. Change order?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm not going to spend as much money as Mr. Blanchard, but I'm going to spend a little bit today. I have one item for your consideration. It's change order number 2 for additional services with JLA, who was our consultant on the Columbia County Fire Rescue Station 2 project. As you know, over the summer, we cut the ribbon and have been in that facility operating. We're still going through the closeout phase of that project, going through warranties and documents and punch lists and a few more things on site, but this is the final change order for that for our consultant. If you go back even further and remember in this project during design, we originally bid this project, it was over budget. We went through a very long VE process to redesign that project, we rebid it, and then started construction. During construction, we extended a little bit past our contractual obligations with the consultant due to unforeseen conditions, bad dirt and soil on site. So we were a little bit late opening that and a little beyond schedule. So this change order accommodates the additional services of our consultant for that length of time. The staff recommends approval of change order number 2 with JLA in the amount of $25,945. This is within our project budget. I have these funds.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other committee items on the agenda today. Do we have any legal matters? Driver, let's move into staff report.
The first report I have for you is the year-to-date budget report for the month of November. We should be performing around 42%, and all funds are reporting as they should be. You will notice in the general fund, the year-to-date revenue at the time of printing this report was still a little low, but we got a big chunk of taxes at the 1st of December. So next month, you will see a much higher revenue number.
IPTF, a one-time,
It is in the end of October.
I don't have any questions. Next.
The next report is the sales tax report. This is for the month of October. For the first time in several months, our amount was under 3 million. It was at 2.9 million, giving us an annualized percentage increase of 5.35%. This number was 4.91% less than last month and 8.44% less than the same month last year. Not sure why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing happened in October that I can,
I did have a very good meeting with the former Commissioner of Revenue yesterday, who is gonna come back to, just give us some insights on how revenue works. So looking forward to that meeting in the next couple of weeks.
former commissioner,
She's former commissioner
can-
and the former state treasurer.
speak freely with.
Well, we hope. So I'm sure she'll be very professional, but definitely any insight that we can get as local government would be helpful.
I mean, I was fixing to say that's a disappointing number, but it's still a good amount that helps with.
Yes.
And the investment report.
Yes, just the investment report for your review. This is for the month of October as well.
As we, of the Fed possibly dropping rates just incrementally going forward, do we feel pretty confident in some of these got locked in?
I know Mr. Johnson has had some conversation with some of the local banks. Wanna,
Yeah, so I think everything is based on the treasury right now, so everybody's kind of eking it down just a little bit. We're starting to see these numbers go down. We were concerned, not really concerned, but, we utilized our PFA to borrow money at a low rate and be able to deposit money at a higher rate. We're still exceeding that rate now, so we're still on the positive side of that. We benefited from some pretty significant cash flow as a result of smart investments. So even if these continue to eke down a little bit, I think we're going to be okay moving forward. I think we're able to kind of get the good out of it. And obviously, we have arbitrage issues as it relates to how we invest this money. So Ms. Reese and I have moved some of this money into what's called a slug account. It's a state and local government account that would not be subject to arbitrage. So we're being very careful as to how we place this money, but we are seeing interest rates come down, but it's not alarming to us.
and we did just open a new account for the tax money with Queensborough that you'll see next month at 3.5%. So I thought that was
Yeah.
very strong.
We're negotiating these on a pretty regular, almost a weekly basis. So the policy gives us the ability to move that money as long as we're in agreement with that. So, and adjust those rates. So we're doing that pretty regularly.
Job on Treasury man. Have anything else for us?
That's it.
Good. Do we have any commissioner or public comment for this? None. I got a couple of executive session items. I'd like to move those to the full board.
yes, I agree.
Very good. We'll do that. I have nothing else for this agenda, for this committee, so we will adjourn and come back in 3 minutes for development and planning services. Thank you.
Calling to order the Development and Planning Services Committee for December 9th. Have already given the prayer and the pledge this morning, and we have a quorum with 2 members present. Have approval of the minutes from the previous.
Motion to approve.
So approved. Do we have any changes to the agenda today?
Ready for your approval, Madam Chair?
Thank you. We will move forward with that as is. We have no presentation or consent agenda items, so we will head into the debate agenda and begin with Mr. Schlachter.
Thank you, ma'am. First one I have for you is a waiver of distance requirement for parcel 050002F, corner of William Few and Columbia Road. The owner of the parcel is looking to put a grocery store there. However, Chapter 6 of our code prohibits the sale of alcohol close to county-owned parks. There's a 600-foot separation requirement. However, our code does allow the owner of the park property to waive that distance. So the developer is requesting that. You do have a waiver attached to your document. I have made some updates to that. As we talked with the developer, they kept adding additional things to it. Our council would add additional things to it, and this waiver of distance started growing and becoming more of an agreement about what they could and could not do on the parcel as far as alcohol. So I've asked them to take all that back out, and this just be strictly a waiver of distance document. All you're doing is saying the waiver of, all this says is that if they build a grocery store of 25,000 square feet or larger, you will not require them to meet the distance separation. Nothing else says they get a alcohol license. They still have to apply for it. They still have to meet every other part of the code, and you still have to vote for an alcohol license in the future. They just want this on the record so that the grocery store knows that the distance is not going to be an issue. We'll get a clean copy of this for your full commission, but it is back down to 25,000 square feet or more for a grocery store only on that parcel for on-premise consumption and off-premise consumption. Y'all grant that alcohol license. Only covers distance.
All right, so this parcel is the entire shopping center? Okay, so what if they have out parcels or it becomes a strip and somebody wants to put a liquor store in next to a grocery store and we've given that parcel?
Not covered. It's very clear, Mr. Driver has reviewed it, it is very clear that it is only for a grocery store that is 25,000 square feet or larger. So they can't open a small liquor store and call it a grocery store because they sell liquor. Try to do a liquor store. Again, they would have to come back to you for a vote anyway on the actual license. This simply says a grocery store of 25,000 square feet or larger can be within the 600-foot buffer.
Beer and wine only, or they can have liquor sales in the store? Is that a thing? It doesn't say. But I saw it.
Says for, sugar says,
It says alcoholic beverages.
sell, serve, give away any alcoholic beverages from any portion of the development property for off-premise or on-premise consumption. It says all alcohol, so they would, again, have to come back and apply for the beer, wine, and liquor. Again, you're not voting on, yes, they can do it, you're just saying you won't hold distance against them.
That would be a consideration of a grocery store.
Move to debate.
So moved. And we're gonna stay with you.
Thank you. Next one we have is an alcoholic beverage license for Pham Nguyen Restaurant LLC, doing business as Bon Mi Dang. This is right behind us here, the next door to Chicken Chick. I believe Firehouse Subs a while back. They did apply for license to sell beer and wine for on-premise consumption. We have no known opposition to this license. I have to recommend approval effective January 1, 2020.
So moved. Thank you. Morning, Mr. Sterling.
Good morning. Got 2 items for you today. First item is an easement encroachment agreement. It is for parcels 073A441 and 073A438. It is to allow an easement encroachment on a rear D&U for a existing pool deck and a 320 square foot shed to be built along the property line, rear property line. Staff's reviewed it, has no concerns, and recommends approval.
I'm not familiar with this area. Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Second item is an ancillary dwelling. You know, the commission has to approve any ancillary dwellings over 1,800 square feet. This particular property is 7205 Bill Doran Road. It's 22.16 acres in size. Existing homes just over 40, almost 4,200 square feet. The ancillary dwelling in total is 3,722 square feet, but only 1,400 of it is conditioned living spaces. So you've got garage and porches and things of that nature. Given the size and nature of the parcel, staff's reviewed it, does not have any concern. Both four is recommending approval.
Are you good with this? Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Do you have any legal matters this morning? All right, staff reports.
All right, for your information only, no action required. November 2025 Planning Department Workload Measurement Monthly Report. Answer any questions you might have.
No questions?
All right, then for your information only with no action required is the October Plan Review Workload Measurement Monthly Report. And answer any questions you might have about that.
No questions.
Thank you. Doctor.
Ma'am, you have the Development Services monthly report as well as the financial report and finally the alcohol, temporary event alcohol permits report. Happy to answer any questions you may have about those three.
No questions.
No questions. Thank you. Do we have any commissioner or public comment this morning? We have no executive session items, so we will adjourn at 9:37.
morning. We're gonna bring the meeting forward on Emergency Services Committee. We've already done our invocation and pledge. We've got a full quorum here. Approval of the minutes
Motion to approve.
and approval of the agenda.
Ready for your approval, Mr. Chairman.
We'll go straight into the debate agenda.
The first item we have is actually a request from the commission that we modify the holiday schedule this year to include Friday, December 26th. As you know, Christmas Eve falls on Wednesday, Christmas Day on Thursday. So this would be a paid holiday on Christmas, the day after Christmas, December 26th. And staff recommends approval with a thank you to the board.
I just had suggested this because most businesses have done this, as it is on the, on Thursday and Friday, so I thought it would be great to follow what.
And this is for 2025 only.
Yes, just this one day.
Okay. Move to consent.
So moved.
Go ahead, John.
Good morning. First item I have for you today is an agreement with Open Sky Drone Light Shows for a drone light show for 2026 Boom in the Park. As you know, Boom in the Park is our largest annual event, attracting over 19,000 attendees. And next year is the 250th anniversary, semi-quincentennial. So to celebrate that, we want to add a drone show this year, which will feature 200 synchronized drones for a patriotic show. We do have the ability to choose 4 or 5 of the displays on our own, so we're excited about that. We did receive 3 quotes for this, and Open Sky was the lowest at $70,000. Staff recommends approval of the agreement in an amount of $70,000 to be funded out of the Hotel Motel Fund.
A great addition to the.
And it falls on a Saturday this year, so it's going to be busy.
Consent.
So moved.
Next, we have an agreement to host the USA BMX Gold Cup Southeast Finals. This will be the 3rd time hosting this event, previously in 2018 and 2021. This brings about 300 riders at the end of their sort of event schedule in the Southeast. It's kind of like the finals championship for these riders. So we'll see people from all across the region and high-level racing at the track. The host fee for this is $10,000 to be funded out of Hotel Motel Fund. We're estimating with visitors and overnight stays, economic impact of $350,000 to $500,000. So staff recommends approval of this agreement to be hosted at Blanchard Woods Park, September 25th through 27th next year.
So moved.
Thank you.
Hello, good
Hello.
morning. This first item is a request to restructure the fire services dispatch. 3 years ago, we handled about 5,400 calls annually, and this year will be 25,000 with the same staffing, same structure. So the request is to promote our main supervisor now to the manager, as well as each shift having a senior radio operator or supervisor, and then add 3 additional communications officers, which will put the same number on each shift of 3 total. So the total cost is $195,000. Currently, we're spending between $60,000 and $75,000 a year in overtime just to cover the staff. It's just not there. I had one employee that worked 28 12-hour shifts in a row to try to cover. So, but we have the funding in place as far as reduction in overtime, salary savings throughout our fund, as well as a fund balance to cover that with nothing additional. So staff would recommend approval.
So it's really, the real cost is about $120,000 because out $70,000 approximately for overtime.
Correct.
Then there's another component to that
Of the staffing or?
of the total cost. You said there were.
So we have salary savings every day because of our openings. And then those that are in training are working on Monday through Friday. There's no overtime, so they don't make the full salary. So even when we're at numbers that exceed our approved position numbers, we're still coming in well beneath. So that salary savings will likely cover it with the reduction in overtime alone. If not, my fund balance can well cover that too. So I need no additional funding for it.
Those for fire and EMS dispatch.
Correct. We now dispatch for Columbia County Fire Rescue as well as Grovetown, Harlem Fire, and then Gold Cross EMS. That's just why the call volume has increased so much. But we've tried to hold, we still have a less than 15-second phone to radio time. It's just getting to be very, very difficult, and we can't handle time off.
That's being paid out of the fire fund,
That is out of the fire fund, yes.
EMS portion.
Even the EMS portion, yeah. EMS
Is there a way to
contract is in the
track,
general fund.
what calls are coming from the city, yes or no?
Yes, well, our, everything goes into our CAD system, so they are separated by agency.
If I could address that as well, we plan on addressing this in our next SDS negotiations. The cities have an obligation, obviously, to take care of their needs, and we can do this for them, but we plan on at least getting some sort of recognition for the compensation that we're doing. It is, because they have their own dedicated millage rate, it's only being charged to the unincorporated part. So the cities, in essence, are not paying anything into that. So we're gonna address that. But since they are getting their own millage rate, they do carry a fund balance, and we are, to the chairman's question, we are very comfortable with the ability to be able to pay this going forward, and it's just necessary. We're pulling firefighters off the street. We have chiefs, the deputy chief of the fire department, battalion chiefs dispatching right now. It's just become overwhelming for us. So we're doing this now to fix the problem, but then we'll go back in and fix the administrative part, the money part of the problem moving forward.
So moved.
And my second item is a donation for our hazardous response team from Piedmont Propane. They're in Washington, Georgia, but they do have customers in a particular service area in Columbia County. During a recent training event there, do not have the valves necessary to flare off leaking large horizontal tanks. So Piedmont has donated several of those valves to us so that we can better protect their assets and citizens as well. So staff would recommend accepting that donation.
So moved. Legal matters,
Yes, sir.
staff reports.
I have for your review the budget report and our run reports, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
No questions?
No, I have a question. So the fire rescue calls per year, the bar graph,
Okay.
that include us?
It does not include that for Gold Cross. These are literally just our responses, but that is between almost 68% medical.
Okay.
So it is medical calls, but not the ambulance. It's just fire counts.
Okay.
Any public comments, Commissioner? Nothing? So we'll adjourn.
Calling to order the Public Works and Engineering Services Committee for December 9th. Already given the prayer and the pledge this morning, and I have a quorum with 2 members present. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve.
So approved. Have any changes to the agenda today?
Ready for your approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will move forward with it as is. We have no presentation or consent agenda items this morning, so we will head into the debate agenda and begin with Mr. Gordon.
Morning. The first item I have for you this morning is a change order to an existing independent contractor agreement with Cranston Engineering. The original agreement is to look at a section along Reed Creek. We have a lot of flashiness of the creek that is causing the banks to erode and our sewer lines to be exposed, making them unstable and potentially causing leaks or spills into Reed Creek. A lot of the area is not as simple as moving the sewer lines because we're up against swimming pools, people's sheds, a lot of things were right in their backyard, close to decks. So we had Cranston go in and work with the Corps of Engineers to look at a way to harden those banks and stabilize the banks so we could repair the sewer through these areas. So they have done that and completed that task. And so we're now ready to move on to the next phase and have them design a section of the creek so we can go ahead and harden the bank and repair the sewer through this area to make it more stable. And so this agreement with Cranston would be to do the engineering for that, and that's a cost of $54,845 and will be paid out of renewal and extension line code.
Is that normal erosion, or was that from the storm, or?
No, it's normal it's just a flashiness of the creek when it rains. It really flashes, increases the flow in the creek, and just erodes the bank.
How often do you think it'll need to be stabilized going forward?
Well, hopefully, hardening the bank will be, a permanent solution to this.
Okay.
It's just, there's some areas we've been able to move the sewer back further from the creek, but there's a lot of areas where we're just right in people's backyards.
Okay, thank you.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
The next item is we want to do a pilot program with a company called Hydrologics to zero discharge flushing. So now when we have water issues where we need to clean up water, flush out water lines, you'll see us open fire hydrants and run water down the street. Well, when we want to clean lines in neighborhoods with this technology, we'll be able to go in and they'll bring in a large truck. It has big tanks and filters and pumps on the truck, and they will pump through fire hydrants, increase the velocity to meet the AWWA regs of more than 5 feet a second, and will clean and clean the lines and put the water back in. So they'll clean everything out of the line. The water will go right back in, so we're not wasting water. We're not dumping tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of gallons on the ground. We want to look at this as an alternative to ice pigging, because ice pigging we typically have to do in the winter. This is something we don't put any more stress on our treatment plants, and we can do this in the summertime or any time during the year. It's very similar cost per day as ice pigging, but actually do a little more linear feet of pipeline. So we want to do a pilot to look at that. The cost of the pilot, we'll have them come out for 2 weeks and go through several neighborhoods and do the cleaning. The cost is $91,722. And will be paid out of our distribution general operating line code. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. And last.
The final item I have is an amendment, number 3, to our master services agreement with Paymentus. Paymentus is who we use to allow for credit card payments, online payments, for the water utility. Right now, we have a limit of $500 per month for somebody to use on their credit card to make a payment to their water bill. We have a lot of commercial customers that their fees can be $1,500, $1,600 a month, and they would like to pay with credit card. So we want to increase that to $2,000 per month. That is the only change to the agreement, and staff recommends approval.
Pass along the merchant fee to the
Yes,
processing?
there's a $2.50 fee for processing.
No matter the amount.
Correct.
Consent.
So moved. Thank you. Morning, Mr. Titus.
Morning.
The first item we have is a contract with Enviro Hydro for NPDES sampling and reporting on various county projects. We have numerous projects throughout the county, both horizontal and vertical. Whenever you disturb more than an acre, land disturbance are required to construction, stormwater monitoring. You have to test up and downstream to determine your turbidity, and then you have to report that back to Georgia EPD. Each project is different. Sometimes this is a scoping item included in the design phase contract, but not always. And in those cases where it's not already included, we have to identify consultants, we have to issue RFPs. Instead of doing that for each and every project, we advertised for consultants to do this basically on an on-call basis. Had one respondent, which was Enviro Hydro. They responded with the rates shown, $52 per inspection, $58 for the sampling, and $20 for the reporting, which is extremely competitive in this market. We're confident these are good prices, and we've used Enviro Hydro in the past. We're confident in their services. So we would like approval of this on-call contract. Each purchase order for this contract will be changed out of the respective line code that's funding whatever construction project. So if it's SPLOST project or T-SPLOST or TAVT, it'd be funded out of whatever construction fund that's coming from. This is a first term of 18 months with 4 annual renewal options. Staff recommends approval.
Consent.
So moved. Next.
This next item is a contract with Peak Pavement Marking for fiscal year 2025-2026 Safety Striping Project A. This is the restripe Clary Cut Road, Riverwood Parkway, and Crawford Place. Riverwood Parkway would just be from Champions down to the newest roundabout work. Clary Cut Road would be from Wrightsboro Road to the Harlem city limits. This is a annual budgeted amount. Total amount is $73,197.35. And the contractor will have 30 calendar days from the issuance of notice of work. Staff recommends approval.
How do you come up with these roads? Do you just, citizen complaints or?
So each year, the board sets aside $300,000 for restriping, and staff, we're in really good shape. Staff has to look really hard to identify roads that are in need of restriping. So each year, we look at all the roads that need restriping, and we pull out anything that's being resurfaced, because that will restripe once it's resurfaced. Anything that's been improved already, anything that's on a DOT route, that's done by DOT, anything within city limits. So we're in a really good place. This is only a portion of our total budget, but we have to look really hard to find roads that striping.
Motion moved to consent.
So moved. Next.
This last item is a lighting services agreement with Georgia Power to upgrade street lighting in various areas. This is phase 3. It's a total of 4 phases proposed by Georgia Power. The first phase was approved in July of '24. The second phase was in July of this year. And this, again, is the third phase. It's going to upgrade 613 street lights from high-end intensity discharge to LED street lights. The total cost is basically a wash. It would be a total increase of $28.08 annually for all 613 lights, and that's not a cost increase. That's a reconciliation of the previous billing rates with the current rates. So again, it's a wash. The county, there are 3 lights at Fleet and Roads and Bridges that will be upgraded. The annual cost for energy for those lights would be paid for out of IPTF as they currently are, and all the other street lights would be funded out of the streetlight fund, which they currently are. Again, there's really no increase, but ultimately it's $28.08 more per year. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. Thank you. Have any legal matters this morning? Staff reports, back to Mr. Gordon.
Yes, I've included the year-to-date budget report and water and sewer construction report for your review, and I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Asked this question before, but can I ask you a budget question? Renewal and extension amounts, it's not a, there's not a budgeted amount. Let me remember what that is.
Yeah, so maybe it was this past year, we actually broke the water and sewer fund up into 3 accounting funds that I consolidate for financial reporting purposes. I have not looked at Mr. Gordon's, what he's presenting at these meetings, and that might be missing.
Okay.
So 511 is strictly operating. We moved renewal and extension to 512 or 513, and bond projects to 512 or 513, I forget which.
Okay.
But they're in a separate fund now, and that's where that budget,
Okay, thank you.
where the actuals are occurring.
Got it.
I'll get with you and make sure we're presenting that correctly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
No, no questions.
No other questions, Mr. Titus?
Yes, we have the roadway projects report and roadway resurfacing report. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
No questions, thank you. Do we have any commissioner or public comment? Right, and we have 2 executive sessions.
Move to debate. What? Remove, to the full board, excuse me.
So moved, thank you.
Thanks.
We will adjourn at 10:03.